Well, good evening and welcome to our Monday
Wasn't
night
me that knocked you
science
out.
call
Please.
with Mary Esther Gilbert. Uh,
Oh, you just muted everybody.
let's start it again. Mary Esther Gilbert is a globally respected nutritional physiologist with over 40 years in the field. She's a black belt in martial arts, a holistic health pioneer, and the author of a 600-page science guide that breaks down cellular healing through botanicals that we here in APLGO all love. She's taught doctors. She's published peer-reviewed research and spent her life helping people reclaim their health naturally. She's obsessed with our APLGO drops because of how our lozenges absorb directly at the cellular level. No pills, no waiting, just rapid results. And tonight, Meg is going to take a deep dive into our wonderful PFT visceral fat drop. Mary Esther, welcome to the call once again.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to see so many people here tonight. Wow. What
It
happened?
certainly
I'm
is.
just so happy about this. But anyway, hi, everybody. I'm excited, as always, to be here on the Monday night calls. So, yes, this is going to be a lot of fun, Casey. It's not going to be as technical, although I'm going to get technical. I can't help it. But hopefully we can, shed some more light than we already have on the PFT. There's always a new angle to come at it from. So yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
Absolutely. So let's get started right in on the ingredients. Why don't you walk our audience through some of the key ingredients in the PFT and explain, the roles that they play in supporting the product's overall function, which of course we know is visceral fat release.
Yes, I'm glad that you asked this question. We are going to briefly go over every single ingredient very briefly. And so I think we haven't done this in quite a while, and I think it'll be good for us to do that. So let me share my screen really quickly here. Okay, here we go. So, all right, let's get started. Let's just get right into it. We'll start with the barley seeds. We're doing this in pretty much alphabetical order, sort of. So the barley seeds, I'm going to name the phytochemical compounds that allow our bodies to utilize glucose better, to use fats better in the diet, and to control, our glucose levels and cholesterol levels, and also make sure that we understand that it's establishing a better connection between the gut, the colon environment, and the brain, that narrow pathway that goes back and forth and communicates, and it sets off a whole set of cascade of reactions in the body. So it's really a kind of a control mechanism. So this is why PFT is also very important. And of course, it's going to, improve how the body utilizes fats. And instead of storing it so readily, it helps the body just burn the fat better, So this is why PFT is so exciting. Okay, so anyhow, the barley seeds contain the beta glucans, and that's like a soluble fiber. It's a digestible fiber known to be very heart healthy and a lot of other things, such as it assists in maintaining the proper blood glucose levels. And so it helps your pancreas regulate its insulin levels in the bloodstream and also the cholesterol levels, bringing in the liver and the gallbladder and the other organs. So it also helps maintain the proper microflora, that beneficial aerobic bacteria that we want to maintain the populations in the colon environment. And it also helps reduce the visceral fat, the deep veining fat, the fat that surrounds the intestines, the liver, the stomach. So our body tends to store wherever it can. It's not just underneath the skin. So it contains protective tocols known to dissolve atherosclerotic plaques. So those atherosclerotic plaques, the hardening of the arteries, it's not really formed by what everyone thinks is like animal fats or cholesterol. It's actually formed by the plasticized fats that we take in, whether it's unintentionally or not consciously. So this can develop the plaques over time. So the barley seeds contain the compounds known to actually help dissolve those plaques safely. So then we've got the pod pepper. Then that contains capsaicin, and it's known for its anti-obesity effects. It elevates the resting energy expenditure when you're not exercising. So even when you're at rest after an exercise session, pod pepper keeps going, keeps you burning the fat even when you're at rest. And it helps reduce the abdominal fat too. So it increases the oxygen consumption capacity during exercise. So you're taking in better volumes of oxygen, better lung capacity, and that also reduces carbohydrates craving. So it prevents converting the excess blood sugar to body fat. So that's another wonderful addition to this formulation. So now we've got brown algae, another amazing ingredient. It contains fucoidan, which inhibits the fat accumulation in the body, prevents formation and increase in the adipocytes or the fat cells. It helps increase energy expenditure also. And it also has polysaccharide alginates, which help improve the gut intestinal tract environment. It also contains phlorotannins, which are known to be anti-diabetic, helping the body control its blood sugar, and anti-inflammatory, helping the immune system identify what's supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there and to tone that down. So then we also have the flaxseed. It improves the glandular functions, the ones that regulate our moods and behavior. That contains lignans shown to improve our blood lipid profiles. So when you have a blood test, you know, they measure how many blood lipids you have in the blood, then it's bound to improve because of the flaxseed. It also helps lower blood pressure. Anytime you have the right kind of viscosity in the bloodstream, you're going to have a lower blood pressure. The more dehydrated you are, the more fats you have in the bloodstream, the more friction and the thicker the blood's going to be, that's going to raise the blood pressure. So the flaxseed kind of attenuates that. It also helps reduce the visceral fat accumulations. And it also is high in omega-3 fatty acids. Not very many plant foods out there are higher in omega-3s than the omega-6s, even though the omega-6s are important for health, but you want to concentrate on foods that are higher in the omega-3s. So these kinds of fats are known to improve brain function and brain size. So if you have a shrinking of the brain, that's an aging thing, dehydration, not proper lubrication, not nourishing the brain cells properly, and losing the neural connections from the brain to the rest of the body. So the flaxseed is very, very important for brain. Improving glandular functions, modulating our behavior and moods, another feature, antibacterial actions in the intestines. So really, a lot of these botanicals have pretty similar features, but they have different phytochemical complexes in them that contribute to this overall synergy. So then we've got the ginger root, and that modulates obesity through increasing thermogenesis, increasing heat production, which means body fat burning production. So, and then it helps break down fats for energy, the lipolysis process. And then it has suppressing lipogenesis, suppressing the formation of body fat in the first place. So it helps the body not be so ready to store excess things in the bloodstream into body fat. The body really likes to store body fat for future reference or for future energy needs. So ginger root also aids in ridding the body of toxic wastes. It's a universal use for ginger. So it binds and it binds to all these toxic synthetic chemicals that we may pick up in the environment and whatnot. So ginger is a very great detoxifier. And of course, if you're trying to lower the body fat, and maintain a certain level of exercise and fitness, then the toxins can really get in the way because they start clogging things up, and then they don't allow all these different systems to function properly. So then it has choline, and that helps prevent fat accumulations in the liver. And it also aids the bile flow coming from the liver, which is important in breaking down fats. And the deficiency is associated with being overweight or obesity too. So we want to make sure that we've got plenty of choline in the diet. So ginger is a great way to obtain that. Now we've got the horseradish tree leaf, and that is such a strong, root, right? If anyone's ever had that, made the mistake of eating horseradish without having a glass of water and lots of air to gulp down, you know that horseradish is very powerful, but it's great it's a great antioxidant. It's got all these phenolic compounds known to act as fat digesting. And so they block the absorption of too many fats at one time. So it allows the body to either eliminate the fats that are excess or to help break them down as quickly as it possibly can. So you're going to get a surge of energy production there in all of your trillions of cells. The leaves contain an aliphatic glucosinolate. Sinigrin, shown to have anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. So now we've got the Malabar tamarind fruit, and that contains hydroxy citric acid, or HCA, and that's been shown to help reduce visceral or abdominal fat and the subcutaneous fat, the fat stores beneath the skin. And it also reduces fatty acids and cholesterol formation by quickly burning those calories, reducing the ability to produce fat or to store body fat. Regulates the appetite. It's innate lipogenic brake. That means it prevents the conversion of carbohydrates into stored body fat. And that is one of the main culprits of becoming overweight, going toward obesity, when your body can't utilize the carbohydrates, breaking it down to the glucose level and using it, for energy. When there's too many sugars in the bloodstream, then it's got to take it out of there and immediately stores it as body fat. So too much sugar also is contributing to overweight. Now we have the psyllium husk from the plantain seeds, and that regulates intestinal and colon environments and eliminates toxins, improving digestion, making you feel full, increasing your satiety levels. And also it contains monosaccharides, arabinose and xylose, and those have prebiotic, cleansing, regulating effects on the bowel. It alleviates abdominal pain. A lot of times abdominal pain is because when a person consumes food that they're having trouble digesting, the white flour substances too. If you're having a scone and you eat it fast, then it's going to form a cement in the stomach. It's going to give you abdominal pain. So the psyllium husk helps move that through. And then, of course, it helps inflammatory bowel conditions, irritable bowel. Now, it regulates both constipation and diarrhea. If you are stopped up, then it's going to pull water out of the system and soften the stool. If you have diarrhea, then that means that there's something that your digestive system couldn't handle, and so it just expels it as quickly as possible. And usually it's in the form of diarrhea. So the psyllium husk is very important for regulating what happens in the bowel. And it's also been shown to improve mean waist circumference, which is correlated with obesity and type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So all this is kind of like the metabolic syndrome that we're talking about. So waist circumference can really tell where a person is at, but not necessarily. Sometimes the healthiest people in the world, like in Alaska or other indigenous cultures, they might be overweight as well, but they don't eat the wrong fats. They're just consuming a lot of calories to deal with the cold environment. So there's a lot of reasons for being overweight, but in America, a lot of people have these problems because of their diet. So the psyllium husk is very good for clearing things out. It improves the blood lipid profile. So, your cholesterol levels are going to be optimal. Instead of having too much of the LDL cholesterol, you're going to have more of the desirable HDL cholesterol. It improves fasting blood glucose, measuring how much insulin the body needs to help keep blood sugar levels normalized. Alrighty, now turmeric, our superhero. It suppresses inflammatory cytokines, proteins that cause inflammation in fat tissues. Anti-cholesterol, reduces fat in the circulatory system. It prevents edema. So, that's from improper intercellular water retention. So when you don't have the water that's coming in the cell and being washed out of the cell, this ebb and flow of water inside the cells, then you're going to have, it might cause the edemic response, which means you're swelling outside of the cells. You're retaining water outside of the cells. That's not where you want water. You want it to be washing in and out of our cells. So also it helps break down fats, improves dietary fats digestion, and that improves the bile flow from the gallbladder to the intestine. So the gallbladder is very important to throw that bile into the mix so that we can digest our fats. So now we've got the extracts, the beetroot extract. This is from the root pulp, and that contains all kinds of antioxidants, betalains, beta-cyanins, betanin, beta-xanthins, phenolics, anthocyanins, and these are huge classifications and subclassifications that are too numerous to list here. They work against cardiovascular and cerebral vascular diseases. So any kind of blood vessel problems in the heart and in the brain. Diabetes, so vasoprotective, meaning it protects the blood vessels. And then also it lowers the heart rate after aerobic exercise and obesity. So people who've been tested who are overweight after they exercise, instead of staying in this panicked inflammatory state because their bodies aren't used to exercise, then it's been known to just help them lower the heart rate back to normal so that the body doesn't stay in an inflammatory response, state of health. And then we've got it downregulates or lowers the high blood glucose levels. So in case someone does take in too many sugars, then the beetroot extract, the pulp of the beet, is going to help reduce that. Aids in producing nitric oxide, and that's critical in the energy production of ATP, which is the unit of energy the body uses just to burn calories. Improving physical performance during fat-burning physical activity. So not only are you burning more body fat and turning it into energy, you're actually improving your physical performance. So the tomato extract, the fruit pulp of that, it contains phytofluene, beta-carotene, flavonoids, carotenoids, and lycopene. And again, these are major classifications. Beneficial effects on weight, body mass index, which we'll get into in a moment, blood pressure, inflammatory responses. So all these are so great for being anti-inflammatories, reducing the body's reaction to things. And sometimes the healthier you are and the more fit you become, then the less prone you are to these automatic inflammatory responses. So it reduces the inflammatory biomarkers related to obesity, like the adipokine, the cell signaling proteins. And it also ameliorates insulin resistance. So it helps the body take out that blood sugar so that the pancreas doesn't have to keep secreting insulin, causing, an overload of insulin, leading to insulin shock. So it kind of helps attenuate that process, and it helps reduce excess blood lipids. So any kind of fats that are circulating in the bloodstream, it helps reduce those. Fat cells, adipocytes that are collecting, and also high blood pressure. Like I said, if you have too many solutes circulating in the blood, it's going to thicken the blood. So, staying hydrated is extremely important, but you also want to take in foods that help break down those lipids as soon as possible. So then you have an effective thing against a high-fat diet and, reducing liver inflammation. The tomato extract is extremely important for those things here. So now let's go into the B complexes. So the B1 or thiamine, it's actually a coenzyme. So we all know that enzymes are extremely necessary for every single cellular process in the body. So nothing can happen without enzymes, the presence of enzymes. So then we've got the B1 who goes in there and helps utilize carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, get these processes sparked and going. And that's involved in the cell's mitochondria energy production. So the B1 is extremely important for energy. And also deficiencies lead to impaired glucose metabolism and mitochondrial energy production. So there's a whole slew of other attributes all of these nutrients that we mentioned so far have, but we're focusing on the PFT tonight. So that's what I'm focusing on.
Wow.
Okay, so now
you're okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
We're almost there. So now we've got the riboflavin, right? The B2, and that's also a coenzyme. And it plays a key role in metabolizing, energy, and it prevents the degeneration of fatty acids that otherwise render them as destructive free radicals. So sometimes fatty acids can turn oxidized. The layperson's term would be rancid, so they're not behaving as nutrients anymore. They're behaving as free radicals. They're damaging healthy cells. So then we've got it prevents bone degeneration. Osteoporosis is very important for bone health. It helps attenuate food cravings because it's satisfying your body's nutritional needs. It helps with fatigue, obviously, because it helps with energy production. It tones down a reaction to stress, irritability, depression, low blood sugar, things like that would cause irritability or a reduction in moods. And it also, any kind of deficiencies are going to lead to hormone malfunctions and impairments in digestion and metabolizing proteins, fats, and carbs. So then we've got the niacin, the B3, and that's converted to its metabolically active form, which is coenzyme nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NAD, and also nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, or NADP. And that's required by over 400 enzymes that the body needs just by speeding up all these biochemical reactions in the body. And so it's involved in transferring energy from carbs, fats, and proteins into the unit of energy, ATP. So that's how our bodies take our foods and turn them into energy. Prevents degenerative oxidation of fats. Okay, we've got one more B vitamin. And by the way, these are not individual vitamins. Every B vitamin in itself is a huge complex molecular molecule. And so the body is going to use it however it can. And it has like a vast choice of so many ways to use these large complexes. Okay, so the B6 is converted to its active coenzyme in the body, and that's involved in over 100 enzyme biochemical reactions in our protein metabolism, building new cells, tissues, and proteins. So it's very important to take in the right amount of protein and take in foods high in B6 so that we can actually rebuild all of our cells that are constantly rejuvenating, regenerating themselves. So it's vital in forming new red blood cells and utilizing carbs and fats, involved in glycogenolysis, so reducing glycogen to glucose that fuels the brain and all these other cellular actions, right? So now we've got the mineral in there, the lone mineral they put in there, but is extremely important. It's been found to help in diabetes and also in regulating how the body utilizes fats. So this is a trace mineral, and it's used for, it's important for normal digestion, improving glucose metabolism, especially diabetes and obesity. I used to put clients who were diabetic on chromium picolinate all the time. Stimulates heat production, increasing energy expenditure, decreasing body fat, and it's also shown to increase in lean muscle mass and decrease body fat percentages. This was after a study done where they had them take this mineral for 90 days. So it's been known to help reduce body fat without losing lean body mass, muscle, cartilage, organ tissues, all these lean tissues made out of protein in the body. So
Wow.
that covers all of the ingredients. There's a couple of other things that I wanted to cover on this question before we move on, Casey.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you wanted to say something, so go right ahead.
No, we have so many questions and coming in on the chat as well. I thought I'd try to merge a couple of the questions, and I think it's going to fit into this next piece that you have here. Weight loss, two of the things that people struggle with. Number one, normalizing appetite. They feel hungry all the time, right? Or at least they think they feel hungry. And dealing with cravings.
Yeah.
So can you talk, and I can see you're talking about fats and digestion here, and I think those can be kind of merged together in a perfect alignment if that works.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I just threw something in here so people knew what happens when you start chewing a food and how your body ends up, utilizing the fat. So we can kind of skim over that. And of course, people will have a copy of this document off my website. So yeah, I mean, it just tells about how all the fats travel, all the way through to all the cells in the body and all the organs that are involved in this. So as you can see. So, I mean, I kind of touched on that with all of the ingredients already, but here's a note. In any weight loss protocol and for lasting weight management mastery while staying in good health, it's critical to maintain that lean body mass through strength building exercises while losing excess body fat through aerobic activities. And these are fat burning activities, elevating your heart rate to a certain, your training heart rate level, and keeping that heart rate level for at least 15 to 30 minutes, working up to that, of course, if you haven't ever done that before, if you're getting back into it. So it's important to burn fat through the fat burning exercises and to build the strength to maintain the lean body mass. And that accelerates your metabolism anyway. It takes a lot of calories and a lot of energy and a lot of nutrients to maintain the lean body mass, not just the muscles, but all the tissues and the structures and everything like the bones and cartilage and things like that. So those are the two very important things to keep in mind when someone is undergoing a fat loss, routine. And I wanted to see if everybody has seen this before. It's how to measure your basal metabolic index, how fast your body is going to burn calories, whether it's at rest or inactivity. So it's something to go by, like I'm 5'3", for instance, and I'm at 117 right now. So it would be between 19 and 21. So I'm hitting around 20. It's considered healthy, a healthy weight. And I was up to 130 and I've lost the 12 pounds just by working out and, just watching what I eat. And it's not hard really when you focus on it. I wasn't focused on it for a while. I thought, oh, well, I can burn it off. And then next thing I knew, the scales hit 130. I thought, oh, no, that's unacceptable for my size, right? So I started, and you can tell by how your clothes fit and all that kind of thing. But anyway, back down to 117 that I feel comfortable at. And so, you know, I'm still in the range of healthy. But if a person gets into the yellow range, then they're considered overweight. And then they go into the orange, you know, area, then they're considered obese. And then here's the extremely obese. So what you want to shoot for is to maintain more muscle, you know, weight, because that weighs more though. You know, you can't, sometimes a really fit athlete, let's say you're a power lifter, right? And you are at 250 pounds and you're lifting huge poundages and you're very muscular, right? You don't have to look like the Hulk, but you're still pretty muscular. You're going to fall into the overweight category sometimes if you're an athlete that's holding on to a lot of muscle. Or in the bodybuilding world, you know, a lot of women and men are pushing the limits on what's considered obesity. When they're not obese at all, their body fat index is really low, you know. So anyhow, I thought you might find this interesting.
Yeah.
So the healthy body weight fat composition, you know, standard for adults is about 12 to 20% for men and 20 to 30% for women. And that's considered a healthy body weight. And it matches the table up above here. So there's the lowest morbidity and mortality rates between the BMIs between 19 and 25. So if you want to stay super healthy, you know, and stay reasonably lean, you don't have to go into the bodybuilding world or any kind of sports extremes. But if you're falling within these ranges, then you're going to look and feel fabulous, you know. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. If you ever want to determine how many grams of protein your body needs, just divide the number of pounds of your ideal body weight, not your current weight if you're overweight, your ideal body weight for your height. Then you divide that by 2, and that is your answer in grams. It's like apples and oranges, I realize, but mathematically, when you look at the formula, then it comes out to be about that, you know. So anytime you want to figure how many grams of protein your body needs every day, then just divide your ideal body weight by 2, and that's how many grams of protein. You know, get to know how many grams of protein are in your foods, and then you've got it. You know, it's a piece of cake.
Great, great. And I know we're going to come back to the conversation on metabolism, but let's go answer that all important question that everyone who's on a weight loss journey has. How does PFT help normalize my appetite and control the cravings? You know, that refrigerator that's calling you at 12 o'clock at night when you wake up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So now this is what I've taught everybody in the weight training world and athletes and anybody who wants to lose the body fat, you know, and stay lean looking and strong and healthy. So what you must do is not only do you consume foods that are high in fiber, and psyllium has the kind of fiber that's nutritionally satisfying. So the other kind of psyllium husk has soluble fiber, which is absorbable and utilizable for energy, but the insoluble types of fiber that just help you feel full. You're not going to be able to digest them. We don't have the enzymes to digest the hardened kinds of fiber in plants, but they help sweep everything out and they keep everything nice and fit and inside them, the musculature of the intestines, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind, and that's where the drops come in. But also, you want to maintain your protein levels. Otherwise, you're going to dip into your own protein stores to generate the blood sugar that you need. So your body breaks down your body proteins into ultimately the glucose, the blood sugar, and it throws off the nitrogen, or it reuses the nitrogen somewhere else, right? So whenever someone has cravings, look at how much protein you're taking in, because that is the most satisfying for the body. It satisfies more of its nutritional needs than the other food groups do. The other food groups, if you're taking in carbohydrates, then you need to make sure those carbohydrates are whole foods and they contain the phytochemical compounds that are in botanicals and the plant, you know, kingdom, and also the vitamins and the minerals. We just saw how some of these vitamins help satisfy, you know, the body's nutritional needs. Once your body is nutritionally satisfied, you're not going to have those cravings. You're not going to feel unmotivated. You're not going to feel tired, you know, and so your appetite will be very satisfied for several hours. So if you replenish your body with the right types of proteins, fats, and the right types of carbohydrates, you'll automatically get those vitamins and the minerals that are in those foods, unless you're eating foods that have not been grown in nutrient-rich soils, and that's a whole another call. So we have to, that's why I advocate the organic foods. And yes, they're a little more expensive, but you're worth it. Your health you won't ever have to worry about your health. Your body will have everything it needs to normalize itself and recover itself from all kinds of malfunctions.
Fantastic. Now, when we talk about weight loss, we constantly hear the word metabolism. I have a slowing metabolism. Can you talk a little bit about what is metabolism, why it's important to overall well-being, and how PFT can help support achieving and maintaining a healthy metabolism?
Yeah. So as we just saw, a lot of these botanicals help speed up the process of how your body utilizes fat and how it turns it into energy. So that's the key, is to be able to just turn everything into energy. And that means stepping things up, not being sluggish, improving circulation, delivery of nutrients, and utilizes all the phytochemicals that I just, kind of laid out for everybody, and the different types of nutrients that help speed things up like that. So, I mean, a lot of these botanicals, as you saw, when you exercise and when you stop exercising, it keeps burning the calories. It keeps as if you're still exercising, right? Maybe not at that high level, but also the how you utilize nutrients and how you produce energy at what rate it does determines your metabolism.
And kind of taking that one step further, the gastrointestinal aspects of PFT. You talked about it at the beginning, the gut-brain balance and how important that was to overall health. You mentioned ginger, you mentioned the aloe vera. Can you talk a little bit about how critical gastrointestinal health is to someone who's wanting to lose weight?
Absolutely. You have to maintain a healthy gut environment. So that means maintaining the healthy populations that help speed up the metabolism too, and to help digestion. So you want to be able to break things down so they don't linger in the body long enough for it to store it as body fat. If things are taking longer, then it's going to store it as body fat for future energy reserves, right? And for energy use. So you want to make sure that you are just maintaining that, so that your body is going to do everything more efficiently, right? And utilize all those nutrients more efficiently. Does that answer the question? I don't think I answered it.
Look, the reality is that without good gastrointestinal health, your body's not going to absorb the vitamins and minerals, and therefore you're not going to feed the cells and, mitochondria, ATP. It really is all connected, isn't it, Mary Esther?
It's all a super highway of communication going on all the time, just so that your body can utilize all those nutrients. Yeah, so the gut is extremely important. You think, oh, it's out the door anyway. There's nothing there that I'm going to be needing. That's not true. Though it's constantly absorbing more water from the body into that area in case something's been missed. And a lot of times nutrients are utilized even at that end game. So it's important to stay hydrated so you can make use of whatever nutrient residues are left in that stuff that's supposed to be eliminated. So yeah. And then we've got, it's been shown that these populations of aerobic bacteria that are beneficial in there actually communicate with our brain cells. It's so remarkable and so incredulous, right? How in the heck? But there's so much study, so much research that shows that this is true.
Now, when you're talking about digestion and gastrointestinal health, the subject of vitamins and minerals come up. And a lot of people that come to, say, a wellness center, and we test them and we show that they have very poor levels of vitamins and minerals. Can you talk a little bit about how an imbalance of vitamins and minerals can dramatically impact the health of someone, almost like a silent, effect? And more importantly, how our lozenges are so effective at providing those incredible vitamins and minerals?
Yes. I'll answer it backwards because our lozenges have the enzymes and the light energy frequencies, the negatively charged particles that spark these enzymes in order to meet these nutrients, right? The B complex that we just talked about, all the different B vitamins and the mineral, they all are going to spark these into action to make sure that we have the wherewithal to utilize these nutrients for everything the body needs. So that's the key. You know, you have to make sure that you have the enzyme active, negatively charged, you know, at the atomic level that will keep sparking these processes, because things can get pretty, they can get pretty sluggish without that happening. So people who never eat raw foods, never eat anything that's enzyme active, like the drops and the raw foods that we recommend that contain the B vitamins, because B vitamins get destroyed very easily in light and heat. So the more raw foods you're able to consume. If you have trouble with fiber, then just throw them in a blender and drink your fruits and vegetables. For heaven's sake, you know, it's much easier to digest that way, and you're getting a concentration of the very essential that we can't manufacture in the body. We need those for every single biological process in the body constantly. You know, we can't just say, okay, last week I had a smoothie and had an apple and maybe a couple of grapes. No, you need a variety of botanicals, which is what makes the drops so valuable, because they're not only viable and active, but they have a huge array of all these wonderful different plant compounds that the body loves, you know, and can use.
Nearly impossible for the average person anywhere in the world to get the variety and depth of all of the ingredients that come in just a single drop. It is truly remarkable.
That's
Now,
right.
we're going to be running a PFT challenge, a wellness challenge. We got a couple of different tracks happening with that. And you talked about protein intake. You talked about a little bit of movement. I'd like you to give us some tips. If someone is gonna use PFT, give them a checklist, if you would, of the lifestyle things that if they were your client, this is what you want them to do so they can maximize the effectiveness of the PFT.
Okay, yeah. So this is probably going to apply to the last question we had. No, let's see, which one was it?
Yep,
Yeah,
it's
that's my favorite question of all the questions. So let's jump to it. So we know that the product promotes slimming and muscle mass maintenance, right? From everything we've said. And when you combine that with the right foods and the right exercise, now exercise can be applied in so many different ways. There are various types of exercise for various types of developing different kinds of fitness. That's why I call it holistic fitness, because when you take certain kinds of movements or exercise and you put them together, then you've got total fitness, and your body's more capable of performing in various ways. So like I take weight training, which is great for strengthening, right? You don't have to lift heavy dumbbells either. A little 8-pound dumbbell can even make a difference. It increases circulation. It stimulates, you know, stronger muscles. And of course, your body's going to get used to it. You might want to graduate to a 10-pounder or a 12-pounder or a 15-pounder or 20, you know, don't get too carried away. But you know, women can handle a significant poundage on their bones and muscles to maintain that kind of a metabolism, right? And then when you nourish the body after you exercise, because every time you exercise, you're utilizing, you're dipping into your body's nutrient reserves. So they require replenishment. And it's important to replenish, because that's when the body says, oh, great, now I can become stronger than before. And that's the stimulation of exercise that's so beneficial. And that's what's called fitness, you know, growing your fitness level. So when you have stretching, you know, kinds of exercises, and when you have the strength building ones and the fat burning ones, then you put those together and you're better capable of doing any sport. You know, not any sport, of course, but you can try different sports, you know, maybe tennis or racquetball or pickleball or any other thing, like sitting in a boat and rowing and finding, wow, I can, you know, I have some kind of endurance here where it would have probably annihilated someone who never exercises. So it's important to be ready physically for whatever comes along. You never know. You never know if there's an emergency that someone might need. You can dip into and rely on your strength and endurance, you know, somewhat to help someone. You just never know. So the diet is very important. Raw foods, most of the diet should be in the form of raw foods because we need the water, we need the different types of fiber, we need the active phytonutrients and the negatively charged particles and all of that, the fibers, we need all of that. The drops are so beneficial because they give you a good foundation for that kind of a diet, for that kind of nourishment.
That's great. That's great. Now, I want to get to a couple of questions in the chat, but I think there's one more question that is super important in today's day and age. So many people today are super stressed. And when you add on to it a weight loss program, that adds a certain level of stress, whether it's because you're changing your habits, you're dealing with maybe a spouse or significant other that's not particularly happy about your new food choices or your exercise schedule. How can PFT help support emotional balance? And, how would that relate to more success with weight loss?
That's a great question. All right. So when you're highly nourished, that's my new favorite phrase. I made it up when I was on stage, by the way. I'd never used it before. I know, it'd be fun. Let's get the audience to kind of remember that because it's so important. It dawned on me. I thought, okay, that's a great way to really express the idea of maintaining the biochemical balance, emotional balance in the body. So many things are solved in life if you're highly nourished. And we just described what to do to become highly nourished, right? That's have more energy, not just to exercise, but in life performance in general. So a weight loss, it does not have to be stressful. It doesn't take much to get your body to lose a pound of body weight, body fat a week. And generally, all you need to do is, because see, 1 pound is equivalent to 3,500 calories. So do the calculations when you've got 3,500 calories, right? And you're working out maybe 5 days a week. And that equates to what, 700 calories, right? And that's not so much. If you cut out 300 calories, which is like equivalent to a tablespoon of butter or, peanut butter or some high fat food, you cut down faster to reduce the calories by 300, or, you can certainly do that. But I don't recommend cutting way down on the protein foods, maybe a little bit of the carbs, and certainly the fats have a smaller percentage that your body requires. So you can give up more calories in fats than anything else. So, 300 calories is nothing. The other 400 calories, you can work up to exercising, burning off body fat. When I go to the gym, I can burn off, the machines tell me that I burned off 400 calories in 1 hour. So, I mean, and it's not a vigorous workout. Anybody can ride a bicycle, let's pretend like you're going to the store, and you're just pedaling away and, just maintain a good pace. And pretty soon you start sweating, and that means your body's dipping into the body fat stores. So, and then I jump onto the elliptical machine, and then I jump onto the running, what's it called?
Treadmill.
The treadmill, thank you. Yeah. So altogether, I add it all up and it comes out to about, another 400 calories. And so, yeah, you work up a good sweat and everything, but hey, a pound is a pound. And after a week of that, then, if you cut down, 700 calories in 5 days, then of course you're actually cutting down on, 3,500 calories divided by 5 is 700 calories, right? Per day in a 5-day period.
Yep.
Okay, so now, you can play with those numbers and figure out, hey, that's not so bad. I'm not starving to death. I'm still highly nourished. I still have a lot of energy. And the more you exercise, the more capable you are of producing the energy that keeps you energetic when you're exercising. It's like a snowball effect, only downhill instead of uphill, right? So then, yes.
Now, I'm just going to say, and let's face it, you're going to be more highly nourished with very few calories utilizing the lozenges.
Yes, they supply the energy producing phytochemicals in the plants that actually aid in that energy production process. So if you want to have a lot of energy for the day, take some drops, get a raw fruit and greens juice going on, and you will be highly nourished in that way, and make sure you're getting the right protein. You know, the body needs to rebuild itself. That's one thing the drops or the plant kingdom can't really do very well, is to help your body rebuild and regenerate those huge molecular substances that are in the body that we're composed of, right? So we need those other food groups. But yeah, if you balance everything and you get yourself out there and keep it moving, you know, however gentle you may have to start with, at least you're increasing your circulation. By doing that, you're increasing your metabolism, and these foods help increase that metabolism. So you're going to burn body fat at a faster rate, and you're going to feel more energetic. You know, you're going to sleep better. Everything is going to improve.
Fantastic. So with just a couple of minutes left, so make sure we're on time. I like to start on time, end on time. I know, and Julia or Ruth or Sherry, you might be able to look in the chat. I did see several people ask the question, how many PFT lozenges a day should I take? Could you speak a little bit to that, Mary Esther?
Well, okay. It's a great drop. It helps you burn the body fat, right? It will definitely be a very important component of any weight loss routine. I don't like to call them programs. It's like, it's too many negative connotations. People get scared, you know. So it's a routine. It's a health routine, right? And you can change it. You can change it up. If you want to speed it up a little bit more, you can take more drops, but also make sure you're taking in those other important foods in the diet too. As wonderful as the drops are, they're going to help, but think how much better it could be if you sped it up even more. You know, it's not healthy to lose more than 2 pounds a week of body fat. Any faster weight loss, it's water weight, and you're wasting your valuable body protein away. There's no faster way, no better way, no other way to drop body fat. Pure and simple. You know, I didn't make this up. I didn't create the human body. But that's just how we are designed, and that's how it is designed.
Oh, good. Good. So, you know, maybe one more question, Julia, and then we'll let Mary Esther share her amazing book with the audience so we can end on time tonight. Is there one really pressing question out there that you guys see in the chat?
Someone asked earlier about PFT and pregnancy. I thought that was a great question. We know there's a couple lozenges that pregnant women can't take. Mary Esther, what's your take on the PFT?
Yeah, I don't recall there being any warnings on any one of the ingredients in the PFT.
Great.
Yeah, so I know a couple of the other drops, and I don't really believe, based on what I've known, that any of the other drops are a real danger, you know, to a pregnancy or a fetus that's developing, because we're talking about the genetic codes of the plant. We're not talking about necessarily eating a lot of any one particular kind of food that would concentrate those types of compounds in that particular plant, you know. So it doesn't seem to make sense to me, but I always err on the side of great caution, you know. So I tell people, well, this is what the research shows, and just wait until after you have the baby.
I have two other questions that came up. One of them is regarding how much B12 or what B12 is in PFT. And I know there are vitamins, so if you want to speak to that. And the other was combining the HPR with PFT, whether your recommendation is to do it with all 3 times of the day, PFT morning, noon, and night, and adding HPR to that all 3 times, or one of those times. And I'll keep scanning for more, Casey.
Yep. I've got one
Okay.
last question for her after she answers this one, and that way we'll end on time.
Okay. So B12 is found in animal-derived foods, animal-derived protein. It's in mammal tissue. So we cannot get that from any plant food in the kingdom. If there is, then it's very small amounts. It's very inadequate for our needs. I mean, look at us. We are composed of mostly entirely of protein. Everything is made out of protein. We have to replenish that. We have no choice. So the best way to do that is through an animal-derived protein. So B12 is the only way to do that. That's why a lot of vegans and vegetarians, they turn out very, you know, they can become anemic. And so over time, especially when they stopped diving or you know, dipping into their own B12 stores in their tissues, their own tissues. So they're starting to consume their own body tissues to meet higher priority, organ systems in the body. So they never last. I've never seen a vegan last very long as a vegan. They start craving meats. They smell it. They salivate. They can't stand it any longer, and they go back. Sometimes they overcompensate, and but at least vegans have some animal proteins, but they're usually short in the B12. So they have to take supplements that are B12, and so it defeats the whole purpose of being vegetarian, or a vegan when you're consuming an animal-derived B vitamin.
You're talking about that, Mary Esther, and the one thing that comes to my mind is bacon, bacon, bacon. If I had thumbs, I'd open the bag myself, right? Okay, last question. Most important one before you share your amazing book. You have just met me. I know nothing about science. I don't care about science. I just want to lose some weight. What are 3 things you're going to tell me about PFT that's going to motivate me to say, I'm doing the PFT challenge?
Well, I've heard this all before. And, but there's shock value in an answer to that because they have to be awakened, right? They're asleep in their innocence or selected, indifference. And if it's selected indifference, then they're going to have problems. And I tell them, if you don't do this, you're going to stay in this state of health forever. You're not going to lose the weight. If you don't know how your body works, if you're not willing to, take a little time to understand what you have to do to drop that weight without wasting yourself away and causing a whole slew of other health issues, then I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Don't shoot the messenger. This is just the way it is. There's no other way to do it. I've been trying to tell people this for years and years, that there's no other way. That's just how we're designed. The only way the body's going to relinquish the extra body fat is to get that fat burning going on. And the PFT is really great for that, but you can help it along so much better. And it's also that much better for your health, when you do the other things. So this is what I would tell them. And I have not been very patient in the last, 40 years. After 5 years of dealing with that, the last 40 years is like, this is what it is, and this is what you have to do. And if you're not going to do it, then you're going to continue on the way you have been. And of course, I try to be as kind as possible because I don't want to be cruel, and I don't want to discourage anyone, but they need to be educated. They need this information.
Okay, well, I'm just looking for the magic pill, but neither here nor there. So let's end with your amazing book, which has been the most incredible resource for when I'm dealing with a science individual for credibility. Why don't you put that up on the screen and close out the meeting by letting people know how they can get your incredible resource, Mary Esther?
Okay, thank you, Ruth, for that comment. So I wanted to answer Julia's question, though. Sorry. Yeah, Julia, that was your question, right, about the HEPR and the PFT? Okay, yeah, she's nodding. Okay, so yeah, I would combine those. That would be great. You're detoxifying even better than the PFT already does. So that gives you an extra boost to get rid of the excess, even getting rid of old cells that are on their way out anyway, that have been spent, and the body tries to eliminate them as fast as possible, or any other residual toxins that we breathe in, or take in one way or another. So I would definitely want to do that. Okay, so here's the book real quick. So this is the second edition, and it has all of the newer drops except for the LFT, because I had just published it when I heard about the LFT. So I went ahead and compiled a monograph for the LFT. So if anybody wants a copy of that, let me know. I'll email it to you. I haven't posted it on the website yet for a number of reasons, but I did send it off for Esther Gilbert when she had asked me, what to do about the new product. I said, I'll just make a new monograph for it and I'll send it to you. So she's got a copy, but if anyone wants a copy of the LFT, everything else is in the second edition. There's bound to be a third edition in the future if we have more drops introduced.
And maybe you could drop a link in the chat when we finish the recording to make it easy for people to purchase your book.
Okay, yeah, here it is right here if somebody wants to type it in, but if not, I'll type it in again. So just go to holisticchoices.com/APL. And it's there on that page. And it's only for,
bomb.
Exactly. Any other resources? I've got the other books, but also what I've done tonight, I do also for the Institute members, and guests are still being welcome. You can drop in and listen in. I am posting the recorded part of the meetings on Friday nights. I call it Friday Night Lives. And so I've been posting things about other really important topics for your health. So if anybody is curious and wants to drop in, you're welcome to drop in on Friday nights. I'll send you an invite, on Thursday night. That's when they always go out. And then I also have a course for my nutritional synergy system. So anybody wants to earn a certificate for nutritional, that system, eating correctly and eating from all the food groups that are in that system, very unique system, been using it for years. But anyhow, that's also some of the things you might want to think about that I want to offer at a great discount to APLGO associates only.
Fantastic. Well, Mary Esther, you never, ever disappoint. Your wealth of knowledge is truly extraordinary. It's inspiring to hear so much about the quality of our products. And I just want to personally say thank you so much for spending this hour with us this evening.
Thank you so much, Casey, and everybody. It's been great.